What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So the NBA draft lottery happened on Monday night. Now, originally wasn't planning on making any type of video for the draft lottery. Didn't expect too much, craziness. I went in thinking, I know the Jazz had one of the worst records, and that's kind of, the lottery. It's not so much that the teams with the worst record get yes, they have the highest percentage chance, but we know over the years that's not always what has happened. But I went in thinking, I just went in, had a feeling about the Jazz, so put a bet on the Jazz to get the #1 pick. But besides that, was like, yeah, could be Charlotte, could like any of these teams up here, whatever. Didn't expect the Dallas Mavericks, who had the 11th best odds at 1.8%, to come in and get the #1 overall selection, let alone the top 3 picks being the Dallas Mavericks, San Antonio Spurs, and the Philadelphia 76ers. And then you have the 3 worst teams in the league this year slotted 4 through 6 with the Charlotte Hornets, Utah Jazz, and Washington Wizards. So just wanted to get my opinion on some of this, talk about some of the different variables here, and going into the rest of this draft process as we also move throughout the NBA playoffs, but in this kind of NBA draft world right now, immediate reaction. So before we do jump in, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there. We have more NBA content on the channel throughout these playoffs. We'll have more draft content on the channel as well as we move closer to the draft coming up next month. So just make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video. So obviously, we'll start out with the lead here, the Dallas Mavericks. Getting the #1 pick, obviously, everyone wants to say this is rigged. They gave up Luka to LA to give them another star after LeBron leaves. I know that's kind of the talk right there. It's like, okay, cool, here's your #1 pick. While I'm not one usually for conspiracy theories and whatnot when it comes to sports like this one is pretty hard to this one is pretty hard to not, get on board with, okay, how is this not rigged? But even if it's not, we had to see coming into this. As I said at the top here, I thought the Jazz, would get it, or thought it would be funny if like the Pelicans got it or Raptors, made that jump up. Any of those teams up there, Charlotte, Coop, stay home in the North Carolina area. Obviously, haven't gone to Duke. Go to Charlotte, see if he can help turn around that franchise with LaMelo there. But as I said, I thought the most out of the box thing we were going to see is the Spurs getting that #1 overall pick for the second time in 3 years. And then obviously last year had the high pick as well to take Rookie of the Year Stephon Castle. I thought that would have been kind of the most out of the box thing. I did not see, and shame on us, which maybe I know have seen some people, sports media people, did say this, like, hey, what if Dallas just gets the #1 overall pick for getting rid of their franchise superstar, and then months later, hey, here's the #1 pick, here's Cooper Flagg, another franchise superstar you got coming in. And I think it might have been Bill Simmons that said this back in March, what if Dallas just has to go through all this suffering for 4 months, whatever it's been, and then gets the #1 pick. So, shout out to those people for seeing that. But, really, if you kind of take a step back and look at everything, was this not always going to be the funniest result, though? Like, Dallas trades their franchise superstar, fan base completely turns on the organization, the GM, everyone wanting them, make overhaul changes, even though, yes, they gave up Luka Doncic, their franchise superstar, most beloved player there, and most beloved player they have, probably since Dirk, obviously. Having to go through all that, miss the playoffs, losing in the play-in tournament, but now you don't have to make any wholesale trades, but you get the NBA draft lottery, you get the #1 pick, and you get arguably one of the best 2 to 3 prospects in the last decade, maybe decade plus even. So really weird turnaround for Dallas. And immediately you look at Dallas, and obviously I guess who knows with Nico Harrison, but they're going to take Cooper Flagg here, or they're going to trade that pick, and not they're not going to trade the pick. They're going to take Cooper Flagg, but you get what I'm saying. If they keep this pick, they're taking Cooper Flagg, they're going to keep this pick and take Cooper Flagg. But so you look at that lineup now. Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively. You got Gafford off the bench. You got Max Christie as well, playing as a 6th man, 7th man off the bench there as well. You still got PJ Washington there as well. I know some funny interactions with him on Twitter afterwards, with him getting excited. People are like, they're about to draft someone that's taking your minutes, right? But overall, I think from like a league-wide perspective, I think this is just funny. Now, I say this is funny, but if one of your teams was up there with the chance to get the #1 overall pick in Cooper Flagg, then I truly do feel sorry for you and sorry for the fan, like for Charlotte, for Utah, for Washington, for those teams. Like, I truly do feel bad. Like, that's how the lottery goes. But if you don't have, like me personally, I don't have, a team that was in the lottery this year. Thankfully, I mean, that's good. The teams that I pull for were in the playoffs. But if you're just a casual NBA fan, your team wasn't up there, this is by far the funniest outcome that you could possibly have. I mean, you saw it across Twitter afterwards or whatever, social media. Like, it was just constant, like, laughing faces across the whole thing. But for Dallas, I mean, this puts them, listen, you add Cooper Flagg into this team. I mean, tell me this isn't a team that comes in next year. It brings me no joy to say this, but going into next year, depending on what the Lakers do in the offseason, why isn't Dallas going to be the higher favorite, like, team to be favorited to finish higher over the Lakers? I mean, the whole offseason has to shake out, yes, but I mean, assuming nothing major happens, and there's another piece to that we'll get to here in a second, but say no wholesale, like, superstar changes, just, free agent signings, good drafts, like, whatever, and you just add Cooper Flagg to the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, who do you have above them? Probably the Thunder. Denver, if they keep the squad together, you could have up there. The Warriors, like, yeah, okay, a little bias here, but I mean, you're bringing back Steph, Dre, Jimmy. If they do anything in the offseason with, if Kuminga doesn't come back, Podziemski, if any of those pieces, they turn that into something, that's probably up there. But just the trio of Steph, Dre, and Jimmy, I mean, that puts you up there as well, and maybe a slight edge just because Coop will be a rookie. But I mean, they're right up there. Like, yeah, Luka and Bron in LA, but there's no guarantee Austin Reeves is going to be there. Who else is scoring the basketball for them? Who's playing center for them? So a lot of questions still in LA. And Dallas, you gave up, a top 5 player in the league. And I don't even think that's arguable. Like, when he's healthy and able to play, he's a top 5 player in this league, Luka Doncic. But coming out, I'm not willing to say that Dallas won this trade yet. If they turn this into a championship and the Lakers don't get a championship with Luka and LeBron, then I think that's what it'll be like, okay, I think Dallas won this trade. But, I mean, hey, they are in a incredible position bringing in Cooper Flagg now, and then you got other players around him who are ready to win now, and players who have been there, done that, won a championship. I mean, look at just what that starting lineup will be. You have Kyrie Irving, a champion in Cleveland back in 2016. You got Klay Thompson, 4-time champion. You got Anthony Davis, champion with the Lakers. And then you got talented pieces that fit together around that roster too. So I mean Dallas going into next year, I'm not writing off. If they stay healthy, they very well could be and maybe should be in the at least Western Conference Finals next year, coming off this, or at least knocking at the door of a top 3 to 4 team in the Western Conference next year. So that's for that. And getting through the rest of the draft lottery here, don't want to spend too much time on it. Obviously, we'll have way more detailed draft content as we get closer to the draft. But San Antonio Spurs at number 2. This was kind of the other piece we talked about just today on Monday. Rumors that Giannis is possibly considering life after the Milwaukee Bucks, possibly considering other options. Now, for years, it has been, rumored about, and this hasn't just been rumored about in Golden State Warriors circles, because I have a Golden State shirt on, jersey on, whatever. This isn't just in Golden State circles. It's been rumored for years, and probably one of the worst kept secrets, that the Warriors wanted to bring in Giannis. Obviously, this season, the Warriors go out and bring in Jimmy Butler, switch things up, need to make a run. They really did. They've been the one of the top 2-3 teams in the league since this Jimmy Butler trade. Things worked out. But now Giannis becomes available, and this has been stuff that has been floating around the league in terms of rumors since 2019, really since KD left. Obviously, it's like, okay, what's this next, big piece? That's how the Golden State front office is. Like, all right, next big piece to constantly stay at the top. And that's why Golden State has been at the top for a decade. But so could that be a possibility? The Warriors have some assets they could possibly give up in a trade like that. It would probably be the whole farm here. It would be Jonathan Kuminga, Podziemski, Moody. It would be the first round picks you're able to give up. But if you're doing that and if you keep Steph, you keep Dre, you keep Jimmy, and you add Giannis to that, you got 4 right there. Like, you need complementary pieces, and I'm confident in, from the short amount of time that we've seen Mike Dunleavy so far, I'm confident in the moves that he could make to bring in complementary pieces to fix that. And I think that would be really entertaining and really good. And I think if that trade happens, I think it's zero doubt that I think they would jump the Thunder and they would be the favorite in the West if that happened. But the other teams to look at here, and these are kind of just the names thrown out there, and they make sense from a surface level too, but the Miami Heat. But yes, that could be intriguing for Giannis to go there. But if he wants to win, depending on what Miami has to give up to get him, is he going to go there and that be a team that can immediately compete? I think, also some of the talk too was he wants to play with another star. Not saying Damian Lillard isn't a star, but clearly we've seen some years of that relationship, and not saying the relationship's bad, but the pairing, I guess, should I say, and it's like, okay, they've had some good moments and, whatever, but they haven't got back to that championship and had that playoff success. So if he wants to play with another star, if what Miami is going to have to give up to get him, what changes there? Like, you're basically just swapping to play in South Beach instead of Milwaukee, and you probably don't have maybe if you probably have to give up Bam or Tyler Hero or both, and if you're able to keep those 3 together, then that's kind of intriguing. I still don't think that's enough to win the Eastern Conference, maybe not even get to the Eastern Conference Finals, actually, with how Boston looks, how New York looks, how the Pacers look, and some of the other up-and-coming teams in the Eastern Conference, such as Detroit. But I think the one that makes the most sense, and this will slide into who got the second overall pick here, which is the San Antonio Spurs. That obviously been talked about and rumor as well. And this, I think they actually have the capital to make this happen, especially now that they landed the number 2 overall pick. Now, they will have to give up some pieces, definitely on their roster and, whatnot, but having that second pick is a big boost instead of having to give a haul of picks and, multiple talented pieces like the Heat would have to do in this particular trade. You now give the number 2 overall pick, which, would probably be it is probably going to be Dylan Harper at number 2, I'm guessing. You could see Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe. Those are kind of the top 4 guys behind Coop. Those are the top 4 with Coop, should I say. So you're giving a second overall pick, and depending on the pieces that San Antonio can throw in there as well, I mean, you're giving Milwaukee, hey, that's a really good start. Like, if you have a superstar who is on the, I'd say still he's on the back half of his prime. He's still one of the best players in the league in Giannis. But, if things kind of aren't working and you might be kind of handicapped with some salary cap situations and just want a clean slate for everything, making a deal work for your superstar who helped bring your franchise NBA championship a couple years ago, sending him to somewhere that seems like he'd probably be interested in going to, pairing him up with Wemby and Stephon Castle as well, in a really good organization there in San Antonio. Doing that, then getting the second overall pick, getting a guy like Dylan Harper to come in point guard. If you move on from Damian Lillard as well, or you even just play them together, kind of like a mentor-mentee situation for a couple years, see how that works out. I think this can work out for both sides, should I say, for San Antonio and Milwaukee if that happens. San Antonio also has the 14th pick via Atlanta in this NBA draft lottery. So a lot of interesting pieces here, but those are the 2 that mainly really wanted to, kind of talk about. Really, the top 2 picks in Dallas and San Antonio. You have the Philadelphia 76ers sliding in at number 3. That could be interesting. Obviously, they were projected to still be playing right now. They were projected to be one of the last 4 teams in the Eastern Conference playing. That obviously didn't happen due to injuries and whatnot. As we said, the 3 bottom teams in Charlotte, Utah, Washington fall in 4 to 6. Pelicans, Nets, Raptors, Rockets from Phoenix via Brooklyn. So they have the 10th overall pick as well, with that young up and coming team that they have there in Houston. You got the Trailblazers, Bulls, and then the Atlanta Hawks via Sacramento, and then, as I mentioned before, the Spurs via Atlanta. So, yeah, obviously a lot to go. We still have the NBA playoffs to decide. So, as I said, we will be back with more draft content as we move closer. We'll for sure have one mock draft. Might do two, depending on how everything goes, but we'll have more content as well. More. If you are subscribed to the channel, this is the Michigan State channel too. Do a lot of Michigan State stuff here, so we'll have more Jace Richardson, stuff as the combine goes, and where his possible best fits could be in this lottery. Just kind of spitballing, here right off the jump of the lottery. I think he will. He should stay in the lottery. He should be in the top 10. I think the most interesting. I wouldn't say that I would love it, because I just don't know if I believe in the direction of the organization right now. But I think the Pelicans would be very interesting at 7. I wouldn't mind Toronto there at 9 as well. So yeah, lots of stuff to discuss here over the next month or so before we get to the NBA draft. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.